this is Mrs. Pagan, and we're going to be factoring trinomials in today's lesson. So I hope you have your notes ready to go. Alright, so when it comes to factoring polynomials, what we have to remember is there are three parts to each polynomial. So I'm going to kind of highlight. There is the x squared term, then there is the x term, and then there is just the number at the end. Alright. So when we are factoring, what we're trying to do is group them in such a manner that when we FOIL it back out, we get the polynomial that we have right here. Okay? So keep that in mind. Alright. First thing we do is we try to break down the x squared term. And we tend to break it down so if we were to multiply those two numbers, we get x squared. Well, x times x is the only x squared that I know. So we tend to break it down evenly with the variables. Alright, the second thing that we do is we try to find numbers that are going to multiply to 6 and we put them at the ends. So for example, I know that 1 times 6 and 3 times 2 are the multiples of 6. So what I want to do is try to test these numbers to see if I can get to -5 in the middle. So here's how it's going to look. Let's say I do 1 here and 6 here. Well, I know that 1 times 6 is 6, which is awesome. But we're trying to get to -5, which means both signs have to be negative. So if I do 1x, and if I multiply these two and I get 6x, then I could try to get a -5x by doing 1 minus 6, which gives me -5x, which is the middle term. The only problem is then this would have to be negative and this would have to be positive. And that gives me a -6 for the green area, which I don't want. So that means 1 and 6 will not work, and I have to erase all of this beautiful work and try to put something else in there. Okay, so let's kind of do the green section again. Now, in the green section, now I'm going to try 3 times 2, because 3 times 2 is also going to give me a -6. Okay, so let's kind of try it out. So, well, this gives me -3x, and these two give me -2x. And when I add these, yes, I get -5x, which is ultimately what I want in the middle. And then I want to know, does the green sections give me +6? Does -3 times -2 give me 6? And the answer to that is yes. Therefore, this is my factor. Now, you might be thinking, whoa, what just happened? So bear with me, okay? Alright, let's go ahead and start the factoring process one more time. So what we're looking for again is x and x for the blue section right there. And we want multiples of 6 that's going to add to 5. So 3 times 2 is 1 and 1 times 6 is another one. But we want to this time get to +5. So if we have 3 and 2, then this gives us a 3x. This gives us a 2x. And if they're both positive, then we get the +5x we wanted in the middle. And so if both of them are positive, we also do -3 times -6 is 6. And we get the +6 at the end. So, alright. I'm going to go ahead and try this one again. So the beginning is very much the same every time. So here's what we're looking for. Oops. Open parentheses. We're trying to get the x squared. Well, x times x will get us there. Now we focus on the end. We're trying to get the -6. So it could be -1 and 6. It could be -6 and 1. It could be -3 and 2. Or it could be -2 and 3. Those are our 4 options. The goal is to try to get to -1. So let's try -2 and 3. So if I put -2 here and +3 here, that gives me -2x. This gives me 3x. When I add these up, I get +1x. But what I really want is -1x. So that's not going to work, which means I have to delete all this beautiful work that we just did because it didn't work. And also means -2, 3 is not an option anymore. So now let's try 3, 2. So what if this was -3 here and 2 here? Positive. So those two multiply to -3x, and these two multiply to 2x. So when I add them, I get -1x, which is awesome because that's what I want in the middle. And then I like to test, make sure that the ends are good too. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, so that is our factor. All right, now you're probably going, I'm not getting what you're doing and all this work, okay? But let's kind of see what we're talking about. Now, how do you know if you did it correctly? Well, how could you check your answer? You can take what we have boxed and actually FOIL it out and see if you get the original problem. So, for example, if you have x minus 3 times x plus 2, we can just go ahead and FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is positive 2x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. So when I combine positive 2 minus 3 is negative 1x minus 6, this right here is the same as the original. And therefore, I know we have done it correctly. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. It was just a 6-minute video. Let's kind of do the rest in class as it gets a little bit more harder. Please ask questions as you are looking through some of these problems that you might have. And if you really want to be an awesome student, go ahead and try number 7. All right, and we'll go over that first before we do all the other ones. Great job in today's lesson on more factoring trinomials. Have a great day.